And whereas November 29, 2021 is the 157th anniversary of the Sand Creek Massacre, where approximately 675 United States soldiers under the command of Colonel John Shivington killed more than 200 Cheyenne and Arapaho villagers, mostly elderly men, women, and children, approximately 180 miles southeast of Commerce City near Eads, Colorado. And whereas the Sand Creek Massacre was a tragedy of worldwide importance, and Commerce City is committed to ongoing work of increased public awareness and education regarding this dark chapter in Colorado's history. And whereas Commerce City honors the contributions of the Native American people and encourages residents to actively seek knowledge about the history and heritage of the Native Americans in our state, past, present, and future. Now, therefore, it is hereby proclaimed that November 2021 be Native American Heritage Month in Commerce City.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. I appreciate that. Councilmember Guardiola.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the proclamation.
Councilmember Alan Thomas.
Second the motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve the proclamation declaring November is Native American Heritage Month in Commerce City. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, just want to thank our city clerk as well as our deputy city clerk for getting that proclamation done as quickly as you did. It was a last minute addition to our agenda, and I appreciate you guys working over the weekend to make sure that that was added so that we could proclaim this month in honor of Native Americans, especially those that are residents in Commerce City, as well as Colorado and our nation, who have contributed so much to our great history. At this time, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor, please raise your physical hands in the chat window to have your vote counted, and that is going to pass unanimously 8-0. Thank you very much for that. Next up, we have noticed council business. First up, we have an appointment of council member to the Rocky Mountain Partnership. This item was continued from the October 4th meeting. Is there any member on the city council that would like to serve on the partnership? Councilmember Grimes.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, after our last Adams 14 joint meeting with the presentation from Rocky Mountain Partnership, I felt compelled to be a part of this organization, represent Commerce City as one of the elected advisors for this group. So I would be honored to be appointed.
Does anybody else on council want to express any interest in being appointed to this? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion and a second to appoint Councilmember Grimes to the partnership. Councilmember Hurst.
So moved.
Councilmember Noble.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to appoint Councilmember Grimes to the Rocky Mountain Partnership as a representative of the City Council. Is there any discussion? Seeing no request for discussion, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor, please raise your physical hands in the chat window so your vote can be counted. And that will pass unanimously 8-0 with one absence. Next up, we have charging stations for electric vehicles. I'd like to invite Councilmember Alan Thomas to introduce the item and make a motion if desired.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have had several residents and constituents reach out to me regarding a lack of charging stations for electric vehicles in my ward and the south area of Commerce City. Electric vehicles are safe for the environment and they're environmentally friendly. Several residents are buying electric vehicles, and to my knowledge, there are no public charging stations in the south area of Commerce City. And to my knowledge, there are 8 in the northern area of Commerce City. One of them is located at Bison Ridge Recreation Center. And I asked the city manager, Roger Tinklenberg, how many were located in Commerce City, and he was unsure. So I don't think this is a north and south issue. It's a Commerce City issue. And I'd like to make a motion that staff investigate the costs and explore locations to have more electric charging stations installed in the south area of Commerce City and possibly more in the north if needed.
Mayor, you're muted.
Thank you. I have a motion to direct staff to explore the option of installing more electric vehicle charging stations and report back to council the cost and feasibility of doing so with particular emphasis in the southern part of our city. Is there a second? Councilmember Noble?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Noble?
Yes, thank you very much. In addition to the one charging station at Bison Ridge, I've also noticed in the last week that there are 4 charging stations going up at the 7-Eleven at 120th and Chambers, and another 4 charging stations at the King Supers on 104th. And that has sparked a lot of interest from residents in this area who are eager to make use of them. And I certainly agree with Council Member Alan Thomas that there needs to be electric charging stations in the south as well. And hopefully, I believe that we had a grant for the one at Bison Ridge, and I would hope that we could do the same thing to at least put them in there and encourage any of the gas stations or convenience centers in the south to begin putting in electric vehicle stations as well, because we're so close to I-70 and 225.
Councilmember Hurst?
Yeah, thanks. I think some of it's timing too. I know I worked with Jason on a project trying to see if we fit into a grant opportunity in South Commerce City about 6 months ago. We didn't win that opportunity, but there's lots of opportunity coming from the Colorado Energy Office, the electrification transportation plan, or transportation electrification plan. Sorry, I was trying to think of the acronym. So, I'll continue to connect Jason to some of those opportunities because there is a lot coming out of the state and federal government right now. And so I think the timing of development is just the only thing that was holding the South back. I think it's primed and ready to go. There's a lot of opportunity coming there in the next 3 to 6 months, I'd say.
Any other discussion on this topic? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor, please raise your physical hands in the chat window so your vote can be counted. That's going to pass unanimously 8-0 with 1 absent. Next up, we have presentations. This evening, we have our oil and gas and environmental planning and policy monthly update. Would like to invite Anita Riley, principal planner, to make the presentation.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can, yes, Anita. Just let us know whenever you want us to move to the next slide.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. My name is Anita Riley. I am a principal planner here at Commerce City, and I'm new. I have been with the city for 2 months, and I will be presenting the environmental reports while we recruit for the environmental planner position. And so if we want to move forward with the next slide, in full disclosure, I am not an environmental planner, so I'll be filling in temporarily, as noted before, while we recruit for Dominic's replacement. Next slide, please. The oil and gas update, we will not see a lot of changes this month. Next slide. We still have the same applications available through the city, and no movement has been made on those. Next slide, please. This map reflects the locations of the existing city oil and gas permits. Next slide, please. Again, we have seen no change in the state 2A applications. And our next slide, which show the locations of COGCC activity. Again, there has been no change in the last few months. Next slide, please. For environmental update, we do have a number of updates. There was an organizational sustainability survey that was conducted at the city. The consultants are now in the process of collecting final feedback from the city on the prioritization of the actions that were identified by the focus group. The greenhouse gas inventory and the business as usual analysis has been completed and has been posted on the city website. And the Environmental Policy Advisory Committee, also known as EPAC, continues to recruit for 2 more members. The meetings, however, have been placed on pause until a new planner has been hired. In the meantime, though, the EPAC members will receive resources and information that are targeted to maintain engagement and to help them prepare for future meetings. The air quality monitoring plan is in development, and more detail is being added to the plan based on feedback from the October 11 study session. A thresholds report is also in development. It will identify thresholds that sources must comply with, and it will also provide ideas on additional thresholds that the city may consider implementing. Our next slide, please. This timeline, it has been slightly revised, but we do not anticipate any delays to the overall timeline. Our next slide, please. CDPHE has reported 3 exceedances by Suncor since that timeline between September 24th and October 22nd. 2 exceedances occurred on September 25th and involved an exceedance of sulfur dioxide due to a trip compressor. The 3rd exceedance occurred on October 8th. It involved hydrogen sulfide due to flare gas and is currently under investigation. Our next slide we will start looking at the Suncor information that has been provided to us concerning the community air monitoring. Suncor and Montrose will be presenting an overview of the Commerce City North Denver Air Monitoring Program at the Air Quality Enterprise meeting on November 2nd. And those reports will be soon available on their website. The PM 2.5 data from the CCN air monitoring is now available on a smartphone application that is supported by the Love My Air program. Suncor has provided grants in the amount of $50,000 to the Adams 14 Educational Foundation. This will be to support students for post-secondary scholarships, classroom grants for teachers, and sponsorships for the foundation's annual 14er Fest fundraising event. Suncor is also providing a $30,000 grant to the Sand Creek Regional Greenway Partnership. And through their Giving Pump campaign that is in progress at Shell gas stations, Suncor is donating 5 cents per gallon to the Boys and Girls Club throughout the state of Colorado. Next slide, please. For reportable event summaries, the refinery states that they are complying with many of the reporting requirements that are placed on them, including those that are required by permits. They have provided a monthly summary to CDPHE that is available on the Suncor website under the Safety and Environment section of the website. For the PFAS treatment system, Suncor has installed and is commissioning a water treatment solution that is geared to ensure that the water discharges are below the EPA requirements for the drinking water health advisory of 70 parts per trillion. The system does use an activated carbon technology that has a history of success. And the Sand Creek barrier wall is near completion of the existing underground barrier wall. And they are also building a second parallel wall as well. And that would conclude our report for this evening. I am available for any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that information and welcome to Commerce City. Glad to have you here. Councilmember Noble, you have questions?
Ms. Riley, I don't want to put you on the spot because this isn't your wheelhouse, but I noticed in the city manager's oil and gas update, in his update today, that Condor had been withdrawn. Are you familiar with that, or someone else who might be on the line is familiar with that oil and gas site?
It was withdrawn due to inactivity, and that is something that is not necessarily new, but maybe new on the report.
Okay, thank you very much. And Condor was the oil and gas site that was located at the west edge of E470 and the east edge of Legato that would horizontally drill towards the arsenal. So it is currently withdrawn because of inactivity. Thank you very much.
Member Alan Thomas.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Riley, for the presentation and welcome to the city. But I was just curious, on slide 13, I was confused where it said improve the conditions at the boundaries of the refinery. What conditions were improved, or what did they improve?
And so, and I'm looking for my a copy on my slides so that I can speak to that more clearly.
Mm-hmm. If you could just explain to what the underground walls are for or what they do.
Thank you for that. So I can only conjecture on that, but what I will do is take your question and respond to you more fully at a later time.
Okay, so you're not sure then what the walls do, or?
I'm afraid that I don't know right off the bat, and I'd rather give you accurate information than something that I suppose.
Okay, because I'd also like to know too where the boundaries were, where the underground walls are, and do you know an approximate time then when you'll get back to us with that information?
I can get back to you by Wednesday.
Thank you. Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, are there any other questions regarding the presentation? Seeing none, thank you again for your time this evening, ma'am. And again, welcome to Commerce City.
No, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Next up, we're going to go to our consent agenda. The consent agenda includes items that are routine, procedural, informational, self-explanatory, and non-controversial. They're presented to council for a single motion and vote. Any member of council may ask to remove a specific item for further discussion and a separate vote. Tonight, there are 5 items listed under the consent agenda. Does anyone on council wish to remove an item off the consent agenda for further discussion? Seeing no request to do so, I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Councilmember Alan Thomas.
So moved.
Councilmember Grimes.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing no request for discussion, will the clerk please read the title and take a roll call vote?
Minutes of the September 20th, 2021 regular meeting. Resolution 2021-95, a resolution adopting a city council social media policy as council policy CP number 24. Resolution 2021-100, a resolution appointing Matthew R. Hayter as an interim city attorney and approving an employment agreement. Resolution 2021-101, a resolution authorizing award of contract for replacement of Peoria Street Bridge over the Little Burlington Ditch to Edge Contracting Incorporated. Resolution 2021-102, a resolution authorizing award of contract for replacement of Brighton Road Bridge over Fulton Ditch to Zach Dirt Incorporated. Councilmember Madera,
yes,
Councilmember Alan Thomas,
yes,
Councilmember Noble,
yes,
Councilmember Guardiola,
yes,
Councilmember Hurst,
yes,
Councilmember Grimes,
yes,
Councilmember Smith,
yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Frank, Mayor Huseman,
Yes.
passes unanimously 8-0.
Thank you, sir. All right, next up, we have a public hearing for resolution 2021-82, a resolution adopting the 2022 budget. This time I will reopen the public hearing and ask the clerk to recognize anyone registered to speak on this item.
Mayor Huseman, we have Steve Douglas registered. Steve, you should be able to unmute yourself and you'll have 3 minutes once you begin. Are you there, Steve? Mayor Huseman, I do not believe Steve is present.
Okay. Does anybody on council have any questions for staff regarding this resolution?
I do.
Noble?
I wanted to follow up on Mr. Douglas's comment earlier about the additional fees that he anticipated coming in. Could someone comment on that?
Certainly. They're not included in the budget since they're not approved at this point. We typically don't budget for items that are not approved by council. So, once council acts on them and does increase the fees, then we can amend the budget at that time to reflect that additional revenue.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other additional questions for staff regarding the budget? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. I'm looking for a motion in a second to adopt resolution 2021-82. Councilmember Hurst,
so moved.
Councilmember Grimes.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2021-82. Is there any discussion? Seeing no request for discussion, will the clerk please read the title?
Resolution 2021-82, a resolution adopting the budget for the City of Commerce City, Colorado for the year 2022 and providing for the 2021 Commerce City tax levy.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. We will do a voice vote. All those in favor of the resolution, please use your physical hand in the chat window so your vote can be counted. And that is going to pass 7-1 with Councilmember Hurst voting no and 1 absence. Next up, we will move on to ordinances on first reading. We have ordinance 2356, recognition of DOJ grant for rifle plates and ballistic helmets. Does anyone on council have any questions for staff? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion in a second to introduce by council as seated and approve on first reading ordinance 2356. Councilmember Alan Thomas,
so moved.
Councilmember Grimes.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second to introduce by council as seated and approve on first reading ordinance 2356. Is there any discussion? Seeing no request for discussion, Mr. Gibson, would you please read the title and take a roll call vote?
Ordinance 2356, an ordinance amending the 2021 budget of the City of Commerce City, Colorado by the recognition of the Department of Justice JAG Burn grant funds in the amount of $30,096 for the purchase of rifle plates and ballistic helmets to be used by the police department personnel and authorization of the expenditures thereof. Councilmember Madera,
yes,
Councilmember Alan Thomas,
Yes,
Councilmember Noble,
Yes,
Councilmember Guardiola,
yes,
Councilmember Hurst,
Yes,
Councilmember Grimes,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Frank, Mayor Huseman,
Yes,
passes unanimously with one excused absence.
thank you. Next up, we have administrative council business. Per council policy, except for emergency or unforeseen items, council members are encouraged to submit administrative business items by the Tuesday before the meeting with another council member's endorsement. Does anybody on council have any items to discuss this evening of an urgent or unforeseen issue? Councilmember Noble.
Thank you very much. Yes, I would like to make a motion regarding removing the direction for a petition to the Water Quality Control Commission from the City Council. That's my motion.
Sorry, you have me at a little bit of a disadvantage. Can you give me a little bit more context there?
Okay, all right. I think it was about a month ago. I don't have the exact date. The City Council voted to send a letter to Governor Polis and a petition to the Water Quality Control Commission regarding the anti-degradation ruling. The letter from the mayor was sent to Governor Polis, encouraging him to encourage the Water Quality Control Commission to reopen the ruling regarding the anti-degradation rule that was not technically applied correctly regarding Suncor. At the same time, we asked for a petition, which would be the formal process. The petition is due this week. It's going in, and there's a petition going in from several environmental groups. There is also a petition, not a petition, a letter in support of that petition that is going in from the Adams County Commissioners. However, I don't want to reopen the discussion. I don't think it's necessary. I think that we've made our point by testifying in front of the Water Quality Control Commission, and these groups in Adams County can make the point. So my motion is then to relieve staff of pursuing a petition to the Water Quality Control Commission at this time.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Councilmember Hurst.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to withdraw the request for a petition. Mr. Sheasley?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Good evening. I just wanted to note this is essentially one of our motions to rescind or motions to amend that's not on the agenda. So I believe it's a 2/3 majority required to rescind it. I'll get back to you if that's unclear. I don't know that that'll be a problem. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Councilmember Noble?
No comment.
I have a motion and a second to withdraw this request for petition. Is there any discussion? Seeing no request for discussion, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor, please raise your hands in the chat window. And that will pass unanimously 8-0. Mr. Sheasley, did you have additional comment?
I did. I just want to clarify for the future, because you have a majority of the entire membership, 5 of 9, that also avoids the notice requirement, the additional vote. So I apologize for taking up your time with needless procedural issues. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate that clarification. Councilmember Alan Thomas.
I just meant to lower my hand. I apologize.
Councilmember Hurst.
Yeah, are we moving on to the next item, or is this a continuation of that conversation? Sorry.
This is your opportunity for administrative council business.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify something that I made a mistake on. I was reading a piece of the budget presentation, deciding if I was going to ask a question on it. So I meant to vote in favor of the budget resolution 2021-82, but I failed to put my hand up. That was not intended to be a no vote. Apologies.
Thank you. Any other administrative council business? Seeing none, we will move on to reports. Mr. Tinklenberg.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one second here. In terms of COVID-19, the Adams County incident rate for the past 2 weeks is 235.7 per 100,000. So the transmission rate is still high, but it has dropped from 2 weeks ago. The Adams County vaccination rate for 1 dose, it's at 78.6%. 2 doses is at 71.7%. And just under 5% have received the booster shot. We are continuing with a mask order in city facilities and on the job. We intend to come back to you on November 15 to ask you, and we'll see what the incident rate is at that time, but to ask you if you want to go back to meeting in person as of December, or if you want to continue to meet virtually. So you can start thinking about that. It's not a topic for tonight, but just giving you forewarning that that's coming back up. In terms of city manager report from the city manager's office itself, staff has selected a consultant for the user and impact fee study. And we anticipate to be under contract by the end of November. And that work would then begin in December. Council orientation will give you a presentation next week regarding the multiple sessions. So you have a chance to look at that and comment on it. And then in terms of grant programs, Adams County has announced that they're providing a COVID-19 grant, and it's utilizing the American Rescue Plan funding. Those grant applications are open starting today, and they're accepting applications from nonprofits, school districts, special districts, businesses, and non-governmental organizations. And that's for all of those organizations that provide targeted services that meet the county's priorities, or for businesses needing additional economic recovery and relief assistance. Also, we received notice this afternoon that the state has launched what they're calling Emergency Mortgage Assistance Program. And of course, they give it an acronym, so it's EMAP, EMAP. And that's to provide financial assistance on behalf of income eligible households experiencing a financial hardship associated with the COVID-19 health crisis. And the Department of Housing is partnering with some Colorado nonprofits to process applications. Those include Brothers Redevelopment, Total Concept, Neighbor to Neighbor, and La Puente, I think it is, Puente. My Spanish is terrible, obviously. From the city clerk's office, we have a fun announcement. Jordan Roberts, our deputy city clerk, has been awarded the Outstanding Contribution to the Colorado Municipal Clerks Association for his work on the association's website overhaul and redesign. So well done on Jordan's part. Election day tomorrow. It's obviously too late to mail your ballot. For those who have not voted yet, please drop your ballot at a drop box, ballot drop box, not the post office drop box, but a ballot drop box. And do that by 7:00 p.m. tomorrow. And there's a drop box outside the Civic Center and one at 72nd in Colorado. In terms of the city's boards and commissions, there are currently 29 vacancies, and information about each board and online applications can be found at c3gov.com/boards. From community development, active land use cases are down slightly at 179. They issued 90 residential certificates of occupancy in October. And so far through October, they have issued 1,404 single-family residential permits. And then the Emergency Rental Assistance Program So far, 1,152,000 has been committed as of last week. And that leaves about 20% remaining in that account. And of course, there's another tranche of money coming as well. In terms of court, the municipal judge recruitment position was posted on October 28, and that closes November 19. And then the court hearings continue to be held both virtually and in person. And that's receiving positive feedback from case parties, both defendants and attorneys and interpreters. And they appreciate the convenience of virtual hearing attendance. And then in terms of court business, that continues to be primarily conducted either online or over the phone. And again, that is also receiving positive feedback. Economic development, as you heard earlier, with the mayor's discussion of the proclamation, Shop Where I Live is available to residents. And so access the site for purchasing gifts and gift cards at commercecity.shopwhereilive.com. And then 6011 Dexter Street, that's the former Walgreens building that has been subleased to Dollar General. And they have said so far that they're opening this Friday, November 5. So that will be back in business. 2022 budget, thank you for approving the budget. In December, we're going to already bring you an amendment to the 2022 budget. Now, it sounds weird to amend the budget before it even starts, but the reason for that is there are a number of items that have been ordered this year, but because of the supply chain issues, they will not arrive until in 2022. And therefore the payment will occur in 2022. And therefore we need to carry over from this year's budget to next year's budget, the amount of money that would cover those expenditures. So we'll be bringing that ordinance to you in December. In terms of, sorry, catching up where I was. We have open enrollment going on this week for employees, and for Parks, Recreation, and Golf, we have Turnberry Skate Park has been completed and is open to the public. They're still finishing a few touch-up items around it, but it's open to the public. And then we had vandalism at Paradise Island. The ticket windows at Paradise Island were vandalized, and staff is looking for basically a retrofit that would prevent this type of vandalism in the future. And then the Buffalo Turkey Trot coming up on November 20. In terms of police department, vehicle registration citations in the last 2 weeks, 768 citations have been issued. So there were a lot of people who have been delaying going in for either renewing their license or obtaining a license on a new vehicle or a used vehicle that they purchased. Public Works, there's a final free landfill day coming up this Saturday, November 6th. And so anyone with a large quantity of items, good opportunity to haul it away for free. 88th Avenue Widening, again, that final design is moving forward now that the CDOT director has signed the FONSI, the final order of no significant impact. And then they're working, our staff is working on a RAISE grant application and anticipating feedback on that. 120th Avenue and US 85, that interchange, staff is meeting weekly with CDOT, Adams County, Brighton, and FHU, the design firm. And that's regarding the CERC grant, which is due at the end of this month. Facility assessment projects, council had approved a variety of projects, and those are in various stages of construction or completion by the end of the month. For example, replacing the fire sprinkler system at the golf course. That agreement has been signed. Eagle Point, additional lighting upgrades. The report is that that's 90% completed. Contra Community Center baseboard heater has been replaced, or will be replaced, I'm sorry, by the 6th, end of the week. And Child Care Center asphalt and concrete flat work, anticipate that to be done by the end of the month. And then Paradise Island to repair the security system. That work order has been issued. Buffalo Run Golf Course concrete flat work, estimate the completion of that by the end of the month. And the ADA project planning is underway with contractors to obtain quotes and schedules. And then we have the agenda review. I saw a hand earlier about one of these items, or is that not the case? If not, we can move on to the agenda review. Okay, moving on to agenda review. Thank you, Dylan or Jordan. So November 8, we have discussion of the order, basically where we're meeting virtually. So this would be basically a discussion item for actual action on the 15th. And then also, as I mentioned, we will be covering the orientation schedule so that you can review and comment on it. And then on November 15, we have the ordinance amending the section in the code dealing with littering and improper dumping. That sets the penalty at $500. That's on consent. And then we have the public hearing again on the southwest corner of 112th Avenue and US 85. That was I think the gasoline station is what stimulated most of the comments on that project. So first is the finding of fact regarding annexation, and then you have the ordinance regarding the annexation and the ordinance rezoning that property. So all of those items are related to that single property. And then there's action on the question of still meeting virtually versus meeting in person. And then we also have a NIGID meeting that evening, and that would be to include the land at 112th and US 85 into the NIGID. November 22 would be the first orientation session. And that would be at 5 o'clock, and then follow that with the Urban Renewal Authority meeting. And that would be to renew the owner's representative services agreement. And that is with Rick Wells of Regen. He has been successfully basically serving as our owner's representative on that project to monitor the construction status and reviewing the pay orders and all of that type of thing. And he's also been assisting with the development agreements that have been negotiated on that project. And then following that, we would have a study session, and we would have a presentation on the Q3 work plan updates, the Adams Tower update, as well as PUD zone document updates and comp plan mixed use discussion. And following that, South Platte Crossing funding request. And that's for, again, an income qualified housing project to determine if council is supportive of financial assistance for that program. And then November 29, we would have the second orientation session at 5 o'clock, followed by a joint meeting with Adams 14, and November 30, a joint meeting with 27J. Is that adequate for council review, or do you want to go further?
Councilmember Noble.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm curious, Mr. Tinklenberg, you've started doing these agenda reviews, and in our council policies, the city council is able to weigh in on agendas and when things occur, et cetera. And I'm wondering if that's why you're doing it. Are you looking for our input, or is this coming directly? I'm not sure why we started doing these reviews.
As I recall, it was a request of council to do this, to review these. And yes, it would provide an opportunity for council to weigh in and provide input.
Okay, that's good, because I just want it to be clear to my colleagues that is an opportunity for us to do that kind of thing as well, so that we know that we can participate in this process. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Councilmember Wadiola.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Roger. I just noticed have we reached out to all the candidates that are running that they'll have to be present on the 22nd and 29th?
By the 22nd, I would assume, Dylan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that the certification of the election is anticipated to occur by then, and therefore we will know who has been elected.
I believe that drop dead deadline is November 24th, and then a candidate can request a recount until November 30th. So hopefully between November 24th and November 30th, we'll have the certified election results.
I just think it would be a common courtesy to let them know in advance that if they win, or whoever wins, that the 22nd and 29th, because they don't get sworn in until December 4th or 6th. So just give them a heads up.
As Jeff Foxworthy would say, here's your notice. But yes, thank you. We will do that.
Any other comments or questions regarding upcoming agendas or the city manager's report? Seeing none, thanks, sir, for your time this evening. We'll move on to Mr. Sheasley.
Thank you, Mayor. First to note, thank you for placing your trust in Mr. Hayter. You're going to be very well served by him in my absence. So thank you for approving that agreement and appointment this evening. On a second note, the COGCC's financial assurances rulemaking kind of sprang up and began again in October, with some final data being published on Friday night related to that. We're working with special counsel to get a filing, kind of mostly revisiting our previous comments on the straw dog comment rules from the summer. The revised financial assurances don't seem to address many of the comments made by the city and other local governments. And I frankly, curiously took an additional several months to get to this point without making really substantive changes. So we'll be getting those on file tomorrow. The city remains a party in that proceeding because of its prior filing. The city's comments are going to be joined in with Brighton, Larimer County, and I believe the city of Thornton. So they will all four be on the same page there. So that's my report on those matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sheasley. Does anybody on council have any questions for Mr. Sheasley? Seeing none, does anybody on council wish to make a report? Councilmember Wadiola.
Thank you, Mayor. Cultural Council had a retreat, and we're going to be asking council for some guidance. So just keep a lookout for that. The DEI Commission met on Wednesday. They're moving forward with the proclamations, working with staff to get those out on a timely manner. So that's kind of a charge that the commission wanted to do. Also, we'll be exploring land acknowledgement that they want to bring up to council. Another thing is that they looked at our legislative booklet, and they'll be providing comments through a DEI lens for council's consideration. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wadiola. Councilmember Noble.
Thank you very much. I just want to add on to what Mr. Tinklenberg said regarding voting. I have been blessed to be able to vote in every election since the early 70s when it first changed. It went below 21 years of age. And I want people to know that not only can you drop in a ballot box, but you can also show up at the government center and vote at the government center. In addition, you can also register to vote tomorrow. I do have a question though. I inquired today of the city clerk where the second financial reports were and when they would be posted. I see that they have not yet been posted. They were due on Friday. So if I could get an update on when those second financial reports of the candidates will be posted, please.
Yes, those are sent to community relations at 05:05 tonight, so they'll be posted first thing tomorrow morning whenever they get back in the office.
That's not satisfactory when we're doing an election. There are no hours when we're doing an election. That's really disappointing to me. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Grimes.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to give a quick report. Last week at Rotary, we did have a local business owner give a presentation. Mr. Luis Ortiz, who owns the Stillwater Wellness Center on 104th, gave a nice presentation about his business and the offerings there. And just wanted to kind of recognize his efforts in our community to bring some wellness, for lack of another word, to our residents. Also wanted to comment that I attended CCBPA's Trick or Treat Street at the Adams City High School last Thursday, and it was a fantastically attended event. Just tons of kids. Everyone was happy to be there, and it was just a really joyful experience, and happy to be a part of that. So thank you very much.
Councilmember Madera.
Yeah, I just wanted to inform everyone that the Veterans Commission is putting on an event this Veterans Day, November 11th, and they'll be at the Bison Ridge Rec Center. And that event's being hosted by the VA, and it's geared towards veterans that haven't registered for their VA benefits or that aren't aware of their VA benefits. So, they kind of want to spread that awareness and get people signed up and make sure that they're getting all the VA benefits that they're entitled to.
Thank you for that. And I do appreciate the members of the Veterans Commission for putting that event forward. That's really one of the ideas that went into the vision of creating that commission and making sure that we had an opportunity to extend knowledge to those members in our community who could truly benefit from it. So I think it's just fabulous that we're doing that event at the Bison Ridge, and thank all the members of the Veterans Commission to do that. That's just that's really, I'm speechless almost, because it's just what I was really hoping for whenever we had the vision to put in that commission together. So thank you everybody for that. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Madera, did you say it was the 11th or the 9th?
Did I say the wrong day?
Yeah, so it's on Tuesday the 9th. Like you said, it's going to be the veterans, the VA is going to be there as well as the Adams County Veteran Services Officer. And for anybody who knows, like going through the VA and getting your benefits, it takes an act of God for them. And we have these people coming in to help us out. So it'd be really great for everyone to attend, or all the veterans to attend. Also on November 13th is the 9 News Health Fair. It's going to be a really great opportunity for people to get low cost or free health screenings. It's going to be at Adams City High School. That's going to be on November 13th. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilmember Alan Thomas.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to let everyone know last Wednesday, I had the honor to get a tour of the apartment complex at the new Greyhound Park, and got a tour to look at some of the homes that are already starting and the park. So it's a really neat, big accomplishment for the city. The president of Del West and his staff gave me a little personal tour. So I just wanted everyone to know that was a really exciting opportunity, and can't wait till it's all finished. And like I said, the park is really amazing out there also. So thank you. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any other council members wishing to make a report? Councilmember Hurst, I think you're the only one that hasn't gone. You sure you don't want to go? I kid.
No, Holden didn't do anything last week. Sorry.
I myself had a light week. The only event that I attended was the Adams 14 Education Foundation meeting that we had on Friday. And nothing to report from that. With that being said, we have an executive session scheduled for the evening. I'm looking for a motion in a second to enter into executive session of the city council and staff and consultants pursuant to CRS 24-6-402, parentheses 4, sub-parentheses F, for the purpose of discussion of the annual evaluation of the city manager to adjourn directly following the conclusion of the executive session. Councilmember Alan Thomas.
So moved.
Councilmember Hurst.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to enter into executive session for the purposes stated. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'm not going to vote in favor of this executive session this evening. On two separate occasions, we attempted to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing city manager performance related to an issue, and both issue times that was voted down because not all 9 members of the city council were present. Given the fact that we have 1 member not here, and I think that member should be part of the evaluation for the member, I will not be voting in favor of the executive session this evening. That being said, we'll do a voice vote. 2/3 of majority is needed in order to go into executive session this evening. All those in favor, please signify by raising your physical hand in the chat window. And looks like it is going to fail 2-6 with 1 absence. Excuse me, 3-5 with 1 absence. Councilmember Hurst, Councilmember Grimes, and Councilmember Alan Thomas being the yes votes. The other 5 of us being the no votes and 1 absence. Is there any further discussion prior to adjourning the meeting? Seeing no request to do so, that'll conclude our council meeting for the evening. Hopefully the executive session can be rescheduled for November 15th so we can get that done prior to the seating of a new city council on December 2nd or 4th or whatever that day is. That being said, have a good night, have a good week.